Assalamu alaikum. Am I audible to all? Okay, Atika, seen your text. बाकी सबको आवाज आ रही है और can you see the screen as well? Kaf, Fatima Arshad, Naufil, Shoaib.
Yes, sir.
यस सर आ रही है.
Okay, we'll just wait for a minute or two for others to join and then we'll start the class.
सर जो फाइनल्स में जो सिलेबस आएगा तो उसमें 4 चैप्टर से भी आएगा
See,
पेपर.
beta, I guess I'll include it from the first chapter as well.
तो दूसरे तीसरे से बचे थे या नहीं?
No, I mean all of the course would be included, most probably.
फिर सवाल कितने होंगे सर? वो ज्यादा नहीं हो जाएंगे? कितने चैप्टर है टोटल?
I guess we'll go till the sequential circuits, then the combinational circuits. Let's see how much we can cover. But the questions would be limited, yes. I would prefer short questions and a few design questions.
गॉट इट सर.
Thank you. Okay, so what do you remember from the last class? The students are still joining, but I did not wait for long, I guess. What do you remember from the last lecture? We were having this example of sequential circuit, right? Yes, anybody? Muhammad Ali Hur, Ariba, Kaf, Atik, Alishba. Can anybody repeat what did we do in the last class?
सर सीक्वेंशियल सर्किट केसेस डिस्कस किए थे हमने.
Yes, the circuit given in front of you, right?
यस सर.
Okay, so is there any question from this circuit? Any question? Okay. So this is the form of state table that's in front of you, and you can see that. Let me enlarge the screen for you. So you can see that here's a state table that's representing this table in another form. Here we have the present state and the next states, and they are being compared when the input x is 0 and input x is equal to 1. So in this diagram, the states are represented as 0 0. This is 1 1 state number 3. This is 0 1 state number 1. This is state number 2 1 0, and they are being represented in form of zeros and ones when you have inputs and output relationships. I'll try to explain it in detail in the coming cases. So this is a diagram that is representing this table in general. So you have a sequential circuit over here with a D flip-flop. So what do we remember about sequential circuits? Can anybody tell me what does a sequential circuit do basically? Anyone?
सर वो सर्किट जिसके जो पिछले कमांड पे डिपेंडेंट होती है सर उसको सीक्वेंशियल सर्किट कहते हैं
Yes. The circuit works in a sequence. Very good. So if we are working with a circuit that is not sequential, the coming outputs are not going to depend on the present states or the present outputs of the system. So there are intermediary states of a circuit, of a sequential circuit, especially. And what are these intermediary states? These A and B represent the intermediary states. Output is Y, but more than Y, the system's next outputs are dependent on A and B. We have seen that already in the class, that we have to see that where is the system lying in terms of A and B in the previous state or in the present state. And then according to those states, we go for the effects of change in input X. And that change in input X basically corresponds to the new state of A, B, and the output Y. Is this clear? Yes, Muhammad Hamad, previous state returnability, you're right. Yes, any question from this? Are you guys sleeping? I'll
No,
have
sir.
to. Zainab Javed, Abdul Rahman, Hamad, Usman, Hira Usman, Muhammad Hamad, Amar, Qazi Temas, Zubair Khan, Mohsin, Shazil, Muzammil, Hafza.
यस सर
Okay, wake up, guys. So let's have a look at this circuit where the present state of A is 0. Okay, I want you guys to respond now. If the present state of A is 0, what happens to the outputs if X and Y both inputs are applied equal to 0? That means X is 0 and Y is 0. What is it going to be the output over here?
0
Yes,
0 0 का XOR सर आगे भी 0 आ जाएगा
0, we get a 0, and this gives us a 0
0
again. right? So we have A equal to 0 again. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
So this means that if we are standing at 0, if you look at this table, please. If we are standing at 0 and we apply the 0, 0 input, we go back to the 0 state. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Any confusion still now?
No, sir.
Okay. So we go for the next case when we apply a 0 state, 1, 1 to the 0 present state. Why am I doing this? Because from this state table diagram, I've come to know that if I apply 1, 1, I'll be going back to the 0 state again. So that's why I'm trying to do the 0 test again. So if we have this case where A is equal to 0, and now I apply a 1, 1 over here, 1 and a 1. What's going to be the output over here?
0.
Yes. And here,
0.
so we have a 0 output of this XOR gate again, right?
Yes, sir.
So A retains the value 0. So do you guys get the idea how this state table diagram is being built? This 0 over here, this represents what? This represents A. Okay. What does this 0, 0 and 1, 1 represent?
XY.
X and Y, which are basically the inputs. So they show us that if you have A output equal to 0 and you apply 0, 0 input or 1, 1 input, you get a 0 again. So this is how you make the state table diagram. Now let's study for the next cases. If we have A is equal to 0 and we apply 0, 1. Okay, so how is this going to respond if I apply a 0 over here and a 1 over here? The output over here
1.
and the output over here.
1.
So the output over here becomes
1.
on the next positive edge clock. Yes. How is this represented in this state diagram? Can anyone explain? How is this state represented in the state diagram given below? How is this case where x is equal to 0, y is equal to 1 represented in this diagram over here that's in front of you? The output A is equal to 1 now.
सर ये स्टेट 0110 पे 0 से 1 जा रहा है.
Yes, very good. So this 0, 1 over here is basically representing that we are going from 0 to 1 when the input x is equal to 0 and y is equal to 1. So the next thing that this diagram shows us that we'll have the same case if 1, 0 input is applied as well. So I'll just erase it. I'll apply the 1 and the 0. So the output of this XOR gate is still going to remain equal to
1.
1. The output of this next XOR gate is going to be equal to
1.
yes. So the A is going to be equal to 1. So from 0 state to 1 state, we are going through the 1, 0 and the 0, 1 input variables. Is this clear? So we have
Yes, sir.
discussed these 4 cases of this sequential circuit with D flip-flop. Now let's suppose that A is already 1. Afan? Okay. So let's suppose that A is already equal to 1. What happens if I apply 0, 0 input now? If A is equal to 1 and I apply 0 and a 0, what happens over here?
0,
And here
1,
1,
and over here?
1,
Yes. So this means that if we are standing at 1 and we apply a 0, 0 state to our system, we get back to the state 1 when the next
1.
positive edge of the clock occurs, right? Is this symbol for the positive edge D clock or for the negative edge D clock? This symbol in front of you.
Positive edge, sir.
Yes. What would be the difference if it was negative edge?
सर नॉट लगा होता है
Yes, not laga hua hota hai. Very good. So let's discuss the next case where we have the 1, 1 input to the same A is equal to 1. So if we have 1, 1 input over here at the inputs of this XOR gate, what's going to be the output of this XOR gate
0,
and the output of this XOR gate?
1.
1. So this means that for A is equal to 1, if we go for the input state variable 0, 0 or 1, 1, we get back to the state A is
1.
equal to 1. Now we have two states pending. So I would want any one of you to explain these two states for me, and I'll write it as you say. Yes, anyone who can tell me that if I apply 0, 1 over here,
Yes, sir.
what's going to happen the next?
1 XOR gate पे
Okay,
1, 1 का 0.
and we get a 0,
Ye-
right?
Yes, sir. Yes,
So
sir.
this means that from A state 1 to A state 0, we travel through the states 0, 1 and 1, 0. Is that
Yes,
right?
sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so now I want you guys to tell me that how is this state diagram working? This is in front of you, and I want you guys to tell me that how is this state diagram working? Okay, if you people are sleeping, then for the assignment that you have as home task, that in which you had those equations, you will include this state diagram as well, this state diagram explanation as well. Okay, this one. Is this okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we have a sequential circuit with JK flip-flop over here. We had a sequential circuit with D flip-flop. Then we had sequential circuit with JK flip-flop now. So this is the state table for this sequential circuit where we have the present states as well as the next states. Mohammed Naeem, please mute yourself. Okay. So we have present states A, B 0 and input X 0 is applied, and we would be judging the next state. So if we say that we have present state A and B equal to 0, so A is equal to 0 and B is equal to 0, and we are applying input X equal to 0. Okay. So here is we are going to have 1 over here, right? And a 0 over here. What happens to the next inputs? Can anyone explain? A 1 is supplied to the J over here. And what's the input that we are going to have over here on this wire?
0.
Why 0? You're right. 0, but why?
सर जी वो A से वायर आ रही है.
Because the present state of the A was equal to 0. So A sends a 0 over here. And what do we have at the output of this XOR gate?
0.
0. So when J is 1 and K is 0, what was the output that we are going to have after a positive edge of this clock? I can give you a hint from there. So we have J is equal to 0 and K is equal to 1. What's going to be the output?
सर जी J1 है और K 0 था.
J1 and K0, very good. So we are going to have Q equal to
1.
So this means that in this case, B is going to be equal to
1.
1. This 1 is the next state of B. For the upper JK flip-flop, we are still going to use the 0 state of B to judge its next state. So let's move with the assessment of the upper JK flip-flop outputs. So this AND gate is going to give us 1 at its first input. What is the input at this?
0.
Very good. So the output of this AND gate is going to be
0.
what happens to this J?
ये भी सर 0. Current state.
So we have J and K both equal to 0. So A is going to retain itself. If both J and K are equal to 0, what is the output going to be?
No change.
No change. So we have A is equal to 0 and B is equal to 1 if we apply input X equal to 0 at the present state A and B both equal to 0. Any questions from this diagram? I guess. Okay, any questions?
No sir.
Okay. Now let's discuss the case where A is equal to 0 and B is equal to 1. Okay, so this diagram is. Please text in your class WhatsApp group that people should join as soon as possible. We are going to end the class and students are still joining. Okay, so if we have A is equal to 0 and B is equal to 1. A is equal to 0 and B is equal to 1. What was the input that we were going to apply? 1. So let's judge the outputs now. If we have a positive edge of the clock coming next. What's going to be the output of this NOT gate? This is going to be 0.
0.
A 1 over here. What's the next
Yes sir.
input of this XOR gate?
0.
0.
And
So this is going to give us a
1.
1. What is the input of this J?
0.
So if J is equal to 0 and K is equal to 1, B is going to be equal to, for the next state,
0.
0.
0. 1 is going to travel for the present state over here. We are going to have a 0 over here. So output of this AND gate is
0.
0. And the J input is going to be equal to
1.
1. So the next state for this A is going to be equal to
1.
1.
yes. So the present state was 0, 1, and the next state is now 1,
1 0.
0. From 0, 1 to 1, 0, we travel through the input 1. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What's this table that representing over here? The table on the right.
सर जी ये जो हम करंट स्टेट से आउटपुट निकाल रहे हैं जो जे और के पे आ रही हैं वो बता रहे हैं
Yes. The current state inputs and the next state outputs inputs of the JKA and JA and JB and KA and JB and KB are being represented over here. This is the present state and the next state, whereas this table diagram over here represents the inputs that are being supplied to the JK flip-flops for the present state and for the next state. Is this clear?
यस सर
Okay, so should we discuss any other case from this truth table? Let's go with this 1-1 case if anybody's still confused. This one. So we are having a 1-1 input and a 1-1 state and a 0 input to the system. I'm talking about this one. And we will remember the JKA and JB and KB states as well now. So I'll just erase all the ink on the slide. We had A is equal to 1 and B is equal to 1. Am I right? And we are
Yes, sir.
going to apply X equal to 0. Okay, so now tell me what are going to be the outputs.
नॉट पे 1
Good.
ये एक्सॉर वाले पे एक 0 आएगा और एक 1 आएगा एक ही करंट स्टेट
Okay.
यहाँ पे आगे 1 आ जाएगा
Okay.
जे पे भी 1 आएगा
Okay,
जे
so
बी पे
only Zubair is awake or the rest of you guys are as well? Okay, so only Zubair is awake.
जे पे भी 1 आ जाएगा
Hmm.
ये यहाँ से एक ए 1 यहाँ पे आ जाएगा एंड गेट पे
Okay.
बी की करंट स्टेट यहाँ से भी आ जाएगी 1 एंड पे भी 1 आ जाएगा और यहाँ पे बी से 1 जे पे भी चला जाएगा
Yes. And if we
और
remember from the JA and KA old states and the new states table as well, if both of them are 1, what happens to the output?
कॉम्प्लीमेंट सर
Complement, yes. So the next state of A is going to be equal to 0
0
and 0,
बी
right?
बी भी 0 यस सर
Any confusion still now?
नो सर
Okay, so the meeting time is ending, I guess. I'm ending the class. I'm ending this meeting. You should join the meeting again, and in that meeting, we'll be taking the attendance. Okay.
ओके सर
Please, everybody, wake up. I'm going to take the attendance in the next class. In the next session. I'm sorry.